Hey everyone, welcome to Off the Top Rope here on the Off the Mic Sports Network. Reviewing Monday Night Raw from Ontario, California, a little bit up the road from where I am here in Los Angeles. Man, what can be said about this show? Like, Raw just in general has been an outstanding, from a production standpoint, from a commentary standpoint, just from, segment by segment. This show has consistently delivered for several months now. And again, I feel like on a week-to-week basis when I review this show, I just keep saying that Raw fucking cooked. And it did it again in the face of some really stiff competition, 2 Monday Night Football games. I would expect that there's not going to be a, very favorable rating, but it should be fine. Raw is always drawn pretty well, even in the face of some stiff competition. But man, what a show tonight. What a show. Crowd was energetic. Commentary was great. Production was great. A lot of great stuff to talk about here on Off the Top Rope. But we need to start. And normally, I got to break tradition here. I got to break tradition. Because normally, when I start the show, I just go chronologically through all the segments. And I probably shouldn't do that because everything is really outstanding. But it's really a reflection of just how great this show is, that I can go chronologically and not be like, have to wait until the end to like hype up something that was really spectacular. But I need to start the show with this. Jey Uso is the Intercontinental Champion. Hell yeah. And I didn't think that this was going to happen. But what a wonderful, like, emotional, fantastic, just amazing moment that transpired in Ontario, California on Monday night. Because I mean, the crowd is so invested in everything Jay's doing since he branched off from the bloodline last year and he started doing his own main event, Jey Uso, like singles stuff. And he's always sniffed really close to winning a singles championship. And I didn't think it was going to be possible considering Braun Breaker literally just won the championship at SummerSlam about a month and a half ago. I didn't think they were going to take it off of him in a manner such as this. But what a fucking moment in front of just an electric crowd, an electric main event between two of the best going right now. You can debate me all you want about Jey Uso. He gets the job done and he can compete with the best of them. And this is so well earned. Nobody in WWE deserves a moment like this more than Jey Uso because he has created so many goddamn moments in the last year. And it's about damn time that he won a singles championship. It's been 14 years. They really hammered that home in the build, and I probably should have read into that a little bit more, that they were leaning into that heavily, that they were maybe going to do something like this. But I'm still surprised because, again, Braun Breaker is this young lion that you're bringing up, and he on his second title defense, he loses. But in most situations, I'd kind of be pissed off at what they did to Braun Breaker, but I'm not. I'm actually not. I think this was done in a way where Braun took multiple spears, multiple splashes, a spear through a barricade. He was protected pretty goddamn well at the end of this thing. So no matter how long Jey Uso holds this championship, we're always going to remember the moment, September 23rd, 2024, in the Toyota Arena in Ontario, California. Because I could potentially, feel the energy all the way from several miles away here in Los Angeles for where I'm at watching it at home. Because that was just an iconic moment. And I tell my friends a lot about this, and this is one of the things that drives me crazy about AEW is they've kind of got to this mindset of, okay, let's just do matches. And matches are great in wrestling because it is wrestling. And wrestling is driven by matches. But also, you know what drives wrestling a lot? Stories and moments and characters. And this was all of the above. Because Jey Uso has been consistently one of the most over and one of the most entertaining performers that WWE has trotted out on television on a week-to-week basis. There's a reason that he is called Main Event Jey Uso, because that guy, every opportunity that he has been given as a single star, even if he hasn't won a championship until now, it has consistently been outstanding. There was the one misfire at WrestleMania against Jimmy Uso. I don't know what the fuck happened there. But nobody And I mean, nobody deserves this moment more than Jey Uso. Braun Breaker is going to be fine. He will be fine. The ending sequence of this match was tremendously shot. You had the follow shots on camera on the barricade shot, the spears on the floor. It was such a well-produced and just a well-executed main event match. This felt like a premium live event. And then to cap it off with the moment that a lot of people didn't think was going to happen in Jey Uso winning the Intercontinental Championship. And we'll go blow for blow with this later on in the show. But what a fucking moment, man. Congratulations, Jey Uso, man. You earned it. Yeet. Thank you. All right, so let's start off the show. And the show started off hot. Because you do your normal, like, hey, Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett, again, outstanding. 4 weeks into this thing, I feel like it's a regular occurrence that I need to praise Joe Tessitore. But the chemistry between him and Wade Barrett, that can't be taught. Like, this is just, they're so good together. And I hope this continues to be a regular thing moving forward, and it probably will. I would imagine they would probably move to SmackDown when Raw does go to Netflix next year. But Joe and Wade were freaking outstanding. So we get all the shots. Braun, Jay, Drew, they're all shown walking in. So then we get to the shot of Dom Mysterio and Liv Morgan, and they show up in a lowrider. Swear to God. Dom, I give him credit for committing to this whole dollar store Eddie Guerrero bit with the mullet and, I mean, the dirty Sanchez mustache. But he comes in with a lowrider? Dude, you are not Eddie Guerrero. You are not your Uncle Eddie, even though they tried to convince us that he was your dad. Nah, don't do that, man. So Dom and Liv show up. They're walking through the garage door, and all of a sudden you see Braun Strowman just run across the way and just tackle Bronson Reed into a merchandise stand. And WWE officials are just like, trying to clear everything up. Dom and Liv get the old follow shot through all the wreckage. They go into the arena. It's in the quintessential follow to the ring shot that they seemingly always do to start off a show. And so then Dom and Liv start off the show in the ring. Liv cuts a promo. Basically, she heals up on the audience and talks about how her revenge tour is going according to plan. She throws to a video package talking about how showing that the Judgment Day attacked Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. Interestingly, after Dom lost to Damian, so they showed that. So then Morgan recalls that she was going to take everything away from Rhea Ripley, and that's exactly what she has done. She boasted about taking the Women's World Championship, the Judgment Day, and quote-unquote, the most gorgeous man in the whole entire world. They are all now hers. For any women who watch this show, you can maybe comment below and basically tell me, do you think Dom Mysterio is gorgeous? Because I don't get it, man. He's gotten Mommy, and now he's gotten Liv. Like, from a kayfabe perspective, I don't get this. You know what? It makes him more detestable, and he's easily one of the biggest heels in the company. So, most gorgeous man in the whole entire world. Boy. And then we get the Rhea pop, Rhea's entrance music. She comes out to a huge ovation. She said she wouldn't hit Morgan off the start. Big Mommy chant. Liv just tells the crowd to shut up. Dom steps in front of Liv. Rhea just laughs and says, hey, look who found his cojones. That was a good opening line. Ripley then barked at Dom to get out of her face. Liv said Dom may have stayed with Rhea if she cared half as much about him as she does Damian Priest. That was an interesting little, choice there, considering, I honestly think that this is one of the great things about this whole dynamic between, Liv and Dom and Rhea and Damian, is that Liv and Dom are this lovey-dovey, high school couple, like that just are the public displays of affection, all of that. Whereas Rhea and Damian, they're like brother-sister, like they support each other in everything they do, but it's completely platonic. Like, it's a nice dynamic, and I think that's what makes a lot of this work. But that was an interesting line from Liv talking about, yeah, as much as you care about Damian Priest. It's like, yeah, Damian's effectively, they're the Terror Twins. Like, they're not a couple. So, but yeah. So then Liv brings up Rhea's knee injury. Liv then said she would beat Rhea Ripley at Bad Blood because she is quote unquote smarter than her. Interesting choice of words. And then Liv asked, hey, Rhea, what's so important that you had to come out and interrupt us? And Rhea announces that, hey, she's fully cleared medically. We could have all seen that because she walked normally to the ring. she then also made an interesting announcement that Dom is going to be, quote unquote, behind bars at Bad Blood. And Rhea announces that Dom is going to be hanging in a shark cage for this match for the Women's World Championship between Liv and Rhea. That's something I didn't expect to happen. Just for the love of God, please do not have him get baby oil on him and grease his way out of the cage like Enzo Amore did 7 years ago in one of the most god-awful pieces of booking and matches that I've ever seen, when Big Cass, the currently known as Big Bill, was facing the Big Show at SummerSlam. Like, that was one of the worst decisions that ever. So for the love of God, please don't do that. And I know Triple H has a lot more sense than to do something like that. But Dom being involved in this is, kind of makes sense. So I'm okay with that. So then Rhea gets in Liv's face and said she'd win the title back that she never lost. She then say, hey, I took back what I said before about not hitting you. And Liv wonders what she was talking about. And then Rhea just drops her with a headbutt, a nasty sounding and looking headbutt. And that ends the segment. So the question becomes, what happens with this Liv Rhea match at Bad Blood? I've been on record, and you could go watch the video here on the channel. I think that this feud is going to continue. It's going to probably be delayed and scattered off, because what I think is going to happen in this match, and this is a little bit of a misdirect with Dom being inside the shark cage. He may get out of it due to shenanigans or whatnot, but this opens the door for someone else to interfere, and I think that's Raquel Rodriguez. And Raquel Rodriguez at least has some beef with Rhea, and I don't think Rhea should have the championship if she's going to feud with Raquel. Because that's something that you can take all the way down the line to WrestleMania. Because if you look up and down this roster, there's really nobody that stands out to me that's going to jump out and feud with Rhea Ripley for that championship and ultimately lead into a WrestleMania match. Bianca Belair, as I've said, she's in a tag team with Jade Cargill. That's going to lead to something for them at some point with a match. That's clearly what they're building to. Charlotte Flair is out, and she's going to probably be on SmackDown. Bayley's on SmackDown. Like, there's just nobody on Raw that really, honestly, maybe Io Sky, but Io Sky's in a tag team. So there's just nobody out there. Becky Lynch, she's already beaten, and Becky Lynch has been away since, kind of taking on the role of fill-in champion when Rhea got hurt. But there's just nobody there. If Rhea wins this match at Bad Blood, I just don't know where anything goes for this Raw Women's division. There's just nobody there. So there's more money and more value in having Rhea lose this match, have her go off and have a side feud with Raquel Rodriguez, who she still has beef with, that really has been unresolved, and Raquel has a reason to align with Liv because they're former tag team champions, for God's sake. It's just, it writes itself, and you could stretch this out as long as you can and have Rhea get involved in the Royal Rumble, maybe not win there, and then win the Elimination Chamber, and then she gets Liv at WrestleMania in Vegas, and that's where she finally gets the championship back. And I think that would create, we talked about it off the top of the show, moments are what make WWE and wrestling so great, and I think that's been lost in AEW, and I think if you build to this moment, it's like in Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come, and they will stay with you. So I think there's just more money to be made and just more, meat on the bone to Liv Morgan having this championship as a heel champion and being chased by Rhea Ripley. Because if Rhea wins, there's just nothing out there. There's no heel challengers that even come close to even, resembling anything on the level of Liv Morgan, which has been the best women's feud in WWE. It's probably the best women's feud in all of professional wrestling right now. So that's really the opening segment. So basically, we then get to Sami Zayn taking on Ludwig Kaiser. This was a fun little match. Sami wins in about 12 minutes. Sami, so basically, so later on in this match, Kaiser does his runs Zayn into the ring steps, spat on him. He gets the running start and then does the drop kick into the steps as well. Sami barely beats the referee's count at the last possible moment to avoid a count out. Sami then went for the Blue Thunder Bomb, but Kaiser gouges the eyes, rolls him up, uses the ropes for leverage, but the referee catches him. So then Sami takes advantage of the distraction. He gets an exploder. He goes for the Kaluva, but Kaiser caught him with a leaping enziguri for the near fall. Kaiser then showed frustration and disbelief over not getting the win. Kaiser then sets up Zayn for another move, but Zayn counters into a suplex, and then it was a German suplex, and then he hits the Huluva kick and gets the 3. Sammy wins. This was not surprising. This is still building clearly to what they want to do with Sammy versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. Speaking of Gunther, he comes out there, and he's not in a suit. He's dressed to go. So you think, oh, really? Are they going to misdirect, and are they going to do a championship match? So Gunther comes down to the ring. He gets a mic. He said, yeah, I know you've been asking for the title shot. He teases doing the match, or at least announcing it, and then he just tells Sammy, no. My answer is no. What a heel. What a heel. They're building to this really well. And if you don't like Gunther, you really just don't understand what's going on here. This guy has really gotten better in terms of his promos. He's not for everybody, but he is as good as there is in the world. And this was a really well executed, segment / angle. They're clearly building to. I'm guessing that Sammy versus Gunther may happen at the Premium Live event, but maybe they're just going to delay this a little bit longer and do it on television. I don't know, because next week's the last Raw before Bad Blood, or I think it's the last Raw before Bad Blood, or they might have one more. They don't have a lot of time to really add this. They're doing a good job of building it. Also, I think they've already got 5 or 6 matches set for this show, so it's really hard for me to see. But it's also hard for me to see a Premium Live event go on without a Men's World Championship match. Because remember, Cody Rhodes is in a tag team match with Roman Reigns, which presumably is going to be the main event. I've got some thoughts on that I need to talk about later on in the week here on the Off the Mic Sports Network. So then we show highlights of all the drama involving Kofi and Xavier Woods. So then Kofi approaches Woods backstage. It seems like they quickly made peace. Kofi brings up the 10-year anniversary, shows off the trombone, Francesca, I believe Francesca #1, and then a couple boxes of Bootios. Woods said those things were great when they were on top, but they need to be more serious. Kingston agreed and said Woods should call the shots for the next couple weeks. So then American Made shows up. The two sides then it set up a match related to the show, a little bit of banter. After the match, after American Made left the shot, there's a production or some geek is just carrying a plate of pancakes, call back to old New Day stuff, but Kingston sort of gives him, no, we're not doing that. Get rid of it. So before Woods spotted it. So good stuff building here with the New Day. The New Day's actually really interesting now. They haven't been interesting in a long time. I've always liked Woods and Kofi. They have seemingly lost something since Big E got hurt. There's not the same vibe there. They did get an NXT title run near the back half of 2022, I think. Yeah, this was interesting. So then we show a lengthy video package hyping up Braun and Jey for the Intercontinental title. A lot of good production pieces in this match. So then we get a backstage segment. Liv and Dom are complaining to Pierce about the shark cage stipulation. Dom actually said, no, that was Pierce is basically saying, you got involved in every Women's World Championship match in the past. And Dom has a great line where he basically goes, no, that was Tom. Thank God for R-Truth, man. That was great. I low-key pop for me on that one. And Pierce says the decision's final. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't say it's official because that's like his tagline. So Carlito, JD show up after Pierce walked away. And Liv tells them, they need to send the LWO a message. So Dom, Carlito, and JD are walking to the ring for Carlito's match that was next. And they encounter Ilya Dragunov. Ilya's so fucking cool, man. Just the way he carries himself as a smaller guy and just a bruising, intimidating guy in the ring. You see the kids saying you got aura, Ilya's got a little bit of that aura. And so he's so fucking cool. So McDonough tries to threaten Ilya, who said Finn Balor wasn't there. And Dragunov basically said, Finn's not there, which means you're not going to do anything. And so McDonough said Carlito had a match, and they would see him around. So then Dragon Lee with his banger entrance. Great to hear him get his own entrance. He's accompanied by Zelina, Joaquin, and Cruz del Toro. And Carlito comes out with Dom and JD. So this was really a fast-paced and really quick match. basically early on in this match, Lee immediately drop kicks Carlito to ringside, hits him with a suicide dive back in the ring. Dom caught Lee with a clothesline on the outside, so Lee regained offensive control later on in this match and went to the ropes, but he stopped down due to a distraction by JD. Wild and Del Toro approached JD, but Dom hits Wild from behind, and then McDonough ran Del Toro into the ring post, only for Rey Mysterio to show up after selling his stuff with Finn from a couple of weeks ago. He dives from the barricade onto Dom, a seated senton, and then Lee rolls up a distracted Carlito for a 2 count. And then moments later, you get the quick finisher, the spinning. I don't even know what it is, but Dragon Lee just gets his finisher very quickly on Carlito. This was a quick match. It was really more of an angle than anything to really hype up, hey, Rey Mysterio's back. Cool to see him back. Carlito, I know a lot of people, it's not working for a lot of people. I think he does his job better in this spot than he did in the LWO, because at least he can be goofy here and be kind of comedic, which has always been Carlito's thing. And let's face it, Carlito at this stage of his career, he's not winning a world title. He may, I doubt he's going to contend for, like, especially the level of the way the Intercontinental Championship and the U.S. Championship are being presented. Carlito's just a guy, and that's fine. So, and it was nice to see Dragon Lee, get a win here. I like to see them utilize him more effectively, because Dragon Lee's fucking outstanding, and he deserves a lot better. But it was cool to see Ray back. So then we get a backstage segment. The Miz is warming up. He gets approached by Karrion Kross. They're playing up this angle. Miz said he didn't have time because he was preparing for his match with Bronson Reed. Kross tells Miz that he wants he doesn't want to be he wants him to be the guy who doesn't care what anybody thinks about and will do whatever it takes to win. Kross told Miz that monsters come in all different shapes and sizes, and he goes, yes, they do. And Miz says, yes, they do, and walks away. Kross is like, I don't know what the game is here, but I understand what they're trying to do and sort of plant the seeds the same way that they did Woods. My gut tells me this is going to lead to Miz turning heel. Listen, I like Miz as much as the next guy. He's just out of place as a babyface. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. He's just so much better as an asshole. And I think the group with and the team with R-Truth was always going to work because there's a little bit of nostalgia there. Everybody loves Truth. But without R-Truth, he's kind of just there. So so then we get a hype from Joe Tessitore talking about WrestleMania tickets going on sale. That's going to be at the end of October. They show a bunch of Netflix workers, so they're clearly leaning into that. By the way, Vince McMahon documentary coming out on Wednesday. That's going to be interesting because Vince McMahon apparently is not happy about some of the content in that show, which makes that documentary must-see television. So then we get a Sheamus backstage interview. Sheamus basically was talking about like how he was at the Titans game, and he was basically just getting the crowd to chant, "Call him Butch," in regarding Pete Dunne. Sheamus said he still had a score to settle with Pete, and he said he didn't want to make it an English-Irish thing because they were talking about shillelaghs and cricket bats. Then he said they should make it an English-Irish thing, and kept referring to Dunne as Butch. It's like kind of a little bit of a petty thing on my part. I like that they're completely disrespecting Vince's creative choices when it came to Pete Dunne. Like, what in your right mind made you think that you were going to make Pete Dunne just be Butch? I love that they're completely going back on this and just burying this decision, because that was a terrible, terrible idea. And it really set back Pete Dunne for a while. Like, Butch, it was fine and it worked. Pete Dunne did the best he could, but we all know him as the Bruiserweight. We're not idiots. So then The Miz makes his entrance, followed by Bronson Reed. Once Reed gets to ringside, Braun Strowman just jumps off a ringside barricade and attacks him, and Strowman slams Reed onto the apron. Miz confronts Strowman, and as this is going on, Reed does his suicide dive, which is still an insane image to see a 340-pound guy just dive like that through the air. Reed goes up top for the tsunami, but a bunch of security guards run out. Reed tossed one security guard to the mat and then threw another on top of the first security guard. Reed then hit a tsunami on both these geeks. Shit. Strowman then fights off security guards. Reed and Strowman looked at one another, and then another wave of security runs out to try to stop him. Reed and Strowman charged and hit each other with simultaneous clotheslines and knocked each other down. Security then mobbed Strowman, who fought them off, and then caught Reed on the ropes. Strowman then sets up for the superplex, which looked like they were going to break the ring. Everybody in the building's going fucking bananas. I think that they're going to break the ring, and it's only into the second hour of the show. But security pulls him down. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. Strowman breaks free again, drop kicks Reed out of the ring of the running drop kick, or as Corey Graves calls it, the Tyrannosaurus drop kick, which I don't get, but still, that happened. Strowman then went up top with the idea of diving on to Reed, who was being held by security, but Reed's like, yeah, you know what, I've had enough. And they just continue to jaw at each other, and that's the end of the segment. For the love of God, this is as good a television as you're gonna find, man. Oh my God, like holy shit, like these guys have not had, they had a scheduled match, and then there's another scheduled match between Miz. This is back-to-back weeks with two of the greatest non-matches I've ever seen in my life, like between these two guys. And it's so great to see just big dudes. Neither one's getting the upper hand. They're both beating the shit out of each other. They're both hitting big moves. This is very old school. Monsters just absolutely fucking killing each other. And this is fucking awesome. I love every bit of this. And it's going to continue into next week, which I'm really excited about. So then they hype up Saturday night's main event. They're already selling a ton of tickets for that. Mark Sanchez was there, which is very cool for you football fans out there. And the Tool guitarist Adam Jones. I know Tool. I didn't know their guitarist name was Adam Jones. Cool. So they're both seated ringside. We get a Drew McIntyre promo. McIntyre recalled CM Punk vowing to make him bleed and saying that McIntyre would have to kill him. McIntyre said he's been thinking about what Punk said and the look and talked about the look in his eyes. What do you see? Go ahead and sing the song. McIntyre said Punk meant every word. McIntyre said Punk is ready to sacrifice it all, and so is he. There's a bunch of what chants during this. This was the portion of the show where I was like, come on, guys. You're a good crowd. Ban the what chant. For God's sake, we're past that, man. It's just like, it's the what chant. Like, yes, it happened during Stone Cold stuff, but guys, that was 25 years ago. Come on, stop it. So the McIntyre said he's been in Hell in a Cell matches, and it broke things in him that have not been fixed to this day. He recalled Punk saying that his sister and his wife begged him to not do his match. McIntyre said his own family begged him not to do the same because they know it's gone too far. McIntyre said his wife begged him for months to get away from Punk because she can see what it's done to him mentally. We get a CM Punk chant. McIntyre said it doesn't matter what the fans, the families, or even he and Punk think. McIntyre said the match will happen at Bad Blood, and he has some promises of his own. He promised that he will make Punk bleed a lot. He said he will make him suffer and feel more pain than he's ever felt. McIntyre said it's appropriate that Punk compared himself to the devil because it's always been good versus evil. McIntyre said Punk compares himself to a godlike figure, but he's just a man that he will break permanently inside Hell in a Cell. What a great promo from Drew McIntyre. The back and forth with no physicality. Like, they're really hyping up how personal this is, and like, this is the end. Like, they're really hyping up. Yeah, we're going to get some violence. We're going to get some blood. We're going to get some crazy shit going on in that Hell in a Cell match. There is some controversy, and I'll save this for another video in regards to what the main event to Bad Blood is. A lot of people are on the side of the Bloodline versus Roman and Cody match, with Roman being a former football player at Georgia Tech, and Cody being basically the face of the company and the face of this premium live event and the build in Atlanta. It's hard for me to think that that doesn't main event. But then you've got Drew and CM Punk, maybe the best feud all over the place in WWE this entire year. And it's a blood feud. The show's called Bad Blood. You've got a Hell in a Cell icon in the graphic. I could see this going either way, and I'm not going to object to either one. If you guys want to argue about it, I really don't care. But that's the least of my concerns. So then we get Jackie Redmond backstage talking to Pierce about how he planned to handle things with Reed and Strowman. Pierce said a regular match won't settle things, so he booked Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman next week in a last monster standing. Holy shit. Like, considering what these two have done to each other in the last couple of weeks, I'm scared. I am scared. I think the show's in Evansville, Indiana next week. I am scared for the people of Evansville about what these two are going to do to each other and do to public property and a bunch of stuff and equipment, because I don't know what the hell is going to happen in that match. But that's a great decision. So then there's a disruption. Pierce runs over and he heard this commotion because he found it was Pete Dunne slamming a cricket back over the back of Sheamus. Dunne has to get pulled away by while Pierce checks on Sheamus. So he advanced that storyline. The Dunne and Sheamus thing has been really good in terms of the mid card. So Friday Night SmackDown shows it looks like Roman. They're questioning if Roman and Cody are going to remain united. Solo Sikoa returns, so it's going to be interesting to see if they're all going to be on TV at the same time. Roman doesn't make very many television appearances, so it's going to be interesting to see how they book this. So then we get a women's tag match. It's Alba Fire and Isla Dawn versus Io Sky and Kairi Sane. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill confront Io and Kairi before the match, before they get to the ring. Sky said they were coming for the titles. Cargill said they won't even touch the titles. Belair said Sky and Sane should focus on Fire and Dawn before because they've had their number. And basically, Bianca also pointed, hey, that match was pretty good last week. You got lucky on me. I love that they tied that in. I'd love to see Bianca and Io do it again because that was one of the better women's TV matches of the year. So we get a short little match here. Io and Kairi, like I said, taking on Alba and Isla. So Io Sky is just a fucking maniac. So it's amazing that you know, Damage Control was a heel group for so long, and now they're playing, I guess, de facto baby faces, but I guess they are. But Io and Kairi are so fucking likable. Like, I don't know how we went this long without wanting to cheer them, because Io is just so great. She gets a hot tag. She plays to the crowd. She gets cheered, a springboard drop kick. She does a kip up. Sky hits a double knees on Fire, gets a 2 count. Dawn hits Sky with a punch from the floor that led to a near fall. Sane then goes up top at the same time as Io. She hits an insane elbow on Fire to the floor. Sky then hits the over the moonsault, and she pins Isla Dawn for the win. No surprise here. Fire and Dawn had a nice run as tag team champions, but they're not really doing much in this division. They got to make a lot of these teams, like Pure Fusion Collective, they've got to make these teams matter. Because as of right now, really all I want to see in this women's tag division is Io and Kairi versus Jade and Bianca, which will be great. But after that, what's there out there? This division has not been good for a long time. Triple H has been trying to figure it out too. It's been a weak point. Like, at some point, you've got to start, stockpiling at least some of this roster with some of the NXT talent as tag teams to at least get them some exposure, so you can at least, introduce new talent. You've got a bevy of talented women on the NXT roster. Why not do that? So, but yeah, this is a neat little bit to advance the women's tag team picture. So then we get a Braun Breaker promo, and Kathy Kelly is interviewing him, asks him what it would take to stop Jey Uso's relentless pursuit of the title. Breaker did his whole dog call bit. Are there any dogs here in Ontario? And the fans were all very receptive. Braun's still over, even though he's a heel. It's great. Braun said there would be a winner and a loser. He said someone would get their ass kicked and it wouldn't be him. Said he might give Jey another shot at the belt a couple months down the road after he works his way back up the ladder, because he intends to be champion for a long time. That was a very interesting and telling line there. So then we replay a portion of the spectacular Roman Reigns Cody Rhodes segment from SmackDown. One of the best produced things I've ever seen in WWE. They didn't show the whole thing. They cut out some bits from it, but this was it needed to be shown again. And if you haven't watched it, go out of your way to watch it. It's one of the best things that I've seen in WWE in a really long time. So then we get a burning symbol, a very mysterious burning symbol on the screen. Before all of you all you crazy people get hyped up about stuff. It's not the Lucha Brothers. I'm willing to bet that it's the return of the Viking Raiders, which, hell yeah, I would be hyped up to see Eric and Ivar return. The tag team division could kind of use them in some capacity moving forward. And, that'd be an interesting way. I know they've been heels for a while. It would be interesting to see the Viking Raiders return as baby faces to, potentially feud with the Judgment Day. I wouldn't be against that. So then Joe Tessitore, who had another great night on commentary, I've said that repeatedly. This is like the 4th consecutive week. So a 59th sellout of the year for WWE. Just outstanding business, outstanding stuff from WWE. They are on they're an absolute inferno. They're on fire, man. It's unbelievable. So then they show fan signs. I love that segment that they do. So again, we like I said, they show that outstanding video package from SmackDown. Again, just like I said, go out of your way to watch it. So then we hype up the tag match between Solo and Jacob versus Roman and Cody at Bad Blood. We'll see if that's the main event. Again, if you want to argue about that, do that in the comments. Go to my page. I'll probably have a video up later in the week kind of breaking down the pros and cons, because I really don't have a preference, really, in my opinion, about which way that should go. There's a really good, compelling argument for both of them. So then Kofi and Xavier, the New Day, make their entrance. They're taking on the Creed brothers. After a commercial, we hype up the CW premiere, which is a week from Tuesday, on the CW, October 1st. CM Punk is going to appear on the NXT premiere. Interestingly enough, they didn't mention that CM Punk is going to be the referee for the main, presumably what is the main event of that show, which is Trick Williams versus Ethan Page for the NXT Championship. So CM Punk's going to be on that show. He's going to be really integrally. Punk has got a busy week, because he's going to have to referee that match, and then Drew McIntyre is facing him in Hell in a Cell on Saturday that week. So it's going to be a busy week for CM Punk. So then Jey Uso is shown warming up with Sami Zayn. Approaches him. Sami Zayn said the Intercontinental title meant the world to him. Zayn told Jey to make the title his. Jey thanked him. They dapped up. They did their whole neat little handshake. That was a sweet little moment. So then American Made makes their entrance. This is a fine tag team match. So Kingston hits a Trouble in Paradise late in this match on Julius. He tagged out and then dove on to Brutus on the floor. Woods goes up top. And Chad Gable climbs onto the apron, distracts him. Interestingly enough, Xavier Woods just pulls Gable inside of the ring and just attacks him, completely loses sight of the match. This is kind of playing into Woods' character of just being so frustrated with how things are going that he's just forgetting. He's kind of having like this identity crisis, which is really, an interesting thing. So Julius then hits Woods with a knee strike. He avoids a diving Kingston. Julius hits Kingston with a shoulder block. Brutus then tags in, hits a Brutus ball on Woods, and they pin Woods for the win. So good for American Made. I thought that this was the right way to go, especially considering the way the story is dictated. American Made needs to start winning some matches after pretty much being thoroughly dominated by the Wyatt Six. So that's an interesting, little bit of an element that needs to be played up. And obviously the Woods and Kingston, New Day angle is the most interesting that they've been in about 3 years. So after the match, we get a Damian Priest video. He recalled using the saying, "Am I my brother's keeper?" when he was younger. He spoke about how life brought him to the Judgment Day, and said it was a crew that became a family. Interestingly enough, they didn't show him joining the Judgment Day with Edge. There's probably other reasons for why that's not happening, but that's neither here nor there. Priest said that family gave him a brother in Finn Balor. He recalled how they spoke about running WWE and did so. Priest then said Balor always wanted it to be about himself. He said Balor had a face of envy when Rhea became the women's champion. Priest said no one acted happier on camera when he won the world championship, but Finn was the first person out the door with the face of envy when the cameras were off. Priest asked if he is his brother's keeper. Priest then said he is and always will be But Balor is not his brother. Priest closed by speaking briefly in Spanish. So I don't think there was really subtitles. I wasn't exactly sure what he said. But, this was great. This was really great. If Finn and Damian weren't going to be there, this is how you kind of advance that, personal angle of this whole thing. Saying, Balor, being the envious one, he had a chance to win the world championship. Damian got it. Rhea got it. So this all makes a lot of sense. I don't know which way this match is going to go at Bad Blood, because, again, it feeds into my whole thing with Liv. It's like you kind of want to see this Judgment Day thing play out a little bit longer, but at the same time, you're probably going to have Bloodline versus Bloodline at War Games. So I don't know how they really stretch this thing out, but Liv and Rhea, I think, are going to be feuding. So by extension, I think Damian and Finn are still going to be, involved in something as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that transpires, moving out of Bad Blood. But that's going to be a really fun match. I'm really looking forward to that. We get a Wyatt 6 video, had another QR code. From what I've seen online, I think this is hyping up the return of Alexa Bliss. A lot of people are wondering, are we just giving up on the Wyatt 6? It's like, no, we're not. There's so much goddamn shit going on this Raw show that I almost think that it's okay that you have the Wyatt 6, going away and having these mysterious messages. Make them feel special. Don't overexpose them, because then it's going to lose its novelty. It's going to lose its coolness. And I think that's what really kind of killed The Fiend. And also Vince McMahon didn't know how to book him. So don't overexpose this group. Make them feel like a specialty, thing to look forward to, and have these mysterious messages, and you don't know who they're targeting. You don't know what they're talking about. It's intriguing television, and if it's a brief segment or a QR code like this, that's fine, because there is just so much going on in a 3-hour span, and they're missing a lot of stuff. And remember, a long time ago, a lot of people were complaining about this show being 3 hours. So this was fine. We get a Pure Fusion Collective. Video. Sonya Deville spoke about how other teams put on spicy outfits and do stupid dances. Shayna Baszler said they fight for dominance. Zoe Stark said they are the foundation and the future of the women's division. Sonya closed by saying, if you want to step up, shoot your shot. Listen, I like all three of these ladies. There's just no heat to this. There's just no reason for me to care. There's just none. They're desperately trying to get us to care. I just don't care. So, and it really sucks, because all three of these women are very talented and very good, but there's just nothing here. It really sucks. I hope they find a way to make this interesting, but there's just nothing there right now, unfortunately. So then Rey Mysterio is accompanied by the rest of the LWO. They're trying to apologize to Xavier Woods. Woods wasn't having it. Rey told Woods to take it up with Kingston because he had to worry about facing Finn Balor next week. Woods said Rey had time for Balor, but not for him because he's not a former world champion. Kingston said Rey didn't mean that. Woods blew up at him because Kofi's a former world champion. Rey said Balor can wait. He'll face Woods next week. And then after the LWO left, Woods continued to throw a fit with Kofi. I like this, new edge to Xavier. I don't know where this is going to go, but because it could go a lot of different directions. But part of me thinks that this is all building to a unified front, a different New Day. I don't think Xavier's going to turn. WWE is already short on really credible, good tag teams. So I think having a unified front and maybe bringing back a Big E, whether it's in a wrestling or a non-wrestling capacity, to kind of talk some sense into these guys, I think that's the way that this is going to go, at least in my eyes. But I could see it going a number of different directions. So then we get hyped up for the main event, man. It's Jey Uso does his crazy entrance off the concourse all the way down to the ring. So he goes through the crowd. They're hyping up again, really leaned into the fact, hey, WrestleMania 41 tickets go on sale late October. So then they show this really sweet, produced video package hyping up Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman, like they were Godzilla and King Kong walking down the street. So that's happening next week. the last monster standing. So that'll be interesting to see if that is ultimately the main event of the Go Home Raw before Bad Blood. So that's gonna be something to monitor, because we're heading down the road to Bad Blood, man, and not a lot of time left. And I think if you're gonna do a last monster standing, and one thing that I really appreciated about that brawl is that they teased that ring breaking spot. And they teased a lot of other cool shit to say, oh man, are they going to actually do this? And they still did a whole bunch of cool shit. But teasing that ring breaking spot, they are aware that that's going to happen. And if they're planning on doing that, this match has to be the main event, because you can't have a blown up ring in a match. And especially with it being last monster standing, I mean, hell, you could do another non-finish there. I mean, that wouldn't be pleasing to some people, but still, these guys are going to kick the shit out of each other. It's going to be awesome. Kofi and Gable is going to happen next week. Ray and Xavier is going to happen next week. Braun Breaker comes out for his entrance, so we get the main event. Still, like, they gave a ton of time to this match. This was a premium live event level match. So, I mean, man, this was just a fantastic, fantastic match. So, it's a slow pace early on in this match. Jey clotheslines Breaker to ringside, goes for a suicide dive, but Breaker catches him with a shot from the floor. Breaker slams Jey's head on the top of the broadcast table a few times. Breaker goes to the apron, jumps off, bulldogs Jey over the announce table, and Braun didn't really account for how his momentum. He just slid over the announce table. He had to take a bump into the barricade. That was nasty, going into a commercial. Jey, coming out of break, hits a tipped attack in the corner. He goes up top for his finisher, but he had to roll through when Breaker moved. Breaker scooped up Jey and hit a gut buster for a near fall. Jey came right back with a pop-up Samoan drop. He gets a near fall. Jey goes up to the ropes. He gets cut off by Braun. Jey headbutts Braun, who then shot back up, does his top rope Frankensteiner for a great looking near fall. We get a "This is awesome" chant. Breaker then clotheslines Jey, hits a gorilla press power slam. Breaker counted along with the referee. He was already getting ready to celebrate, but Jey kicks out at the last possible moment. Breaker then speared Jey at ringside, and this was where a lot of the production was great. We had the follow-up camera shots. This was one of them. Breaker rolled Jey back inside the ring, lowered his straps of his own singlet. He runs the ropes. He runs the ropes for his 25-mile-an-hour spear, but he gets caught with a spear intercepted by Jey Uso. Jey goes up top, hits the Uso splash. He covers him. It's 1, 2, and it's right at the last second. Braun kicks out. I thought that was it. And you're thinking, oh no, Breaker's going to somehow win this. So Breaker set up, and he gets a mean face, shaking his head. No. Breaker kicked Jey to the floor. He goes for a running spear, but Jey catches him with a nasty super kick. Another great follow-up shot where credit to the cameraman for running after Braun Breaker, who's so fucking quick, and runs right into a nasty super kick. Jey waits for Breaker to stand up. He spears him through the timekeeper's area. Jey then rolls Breaker back inside the ring. He spears him again. Jey goes up top, hits the Uso splash, and it's 1, 2, 3. And Jey Uso is your Intercontinental Champion. What a fucking match. What a fucking moment. You're going to remember this September 23rd, 2024. You are going to remember as a wrestling fan where the fuck you were watching this match, because this was about as good of a match as you're going to do, about as good of a title change as you're going to do, about as good of a, iconic crowd reaction. It's like I say, man, it's about the moments just as much as the matches. And this match delivered. The moment was insane. It's as good of a moment as I have seen on television in a really, really long time. Like, we all think back to, like, when Cody Rhodes won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. That's at WrestleMania. For a televised show like a Monday Night Raw, and having a Monday Night Raw moment like this, Jey Uso is so deserving of this. I am so fucking happy for that guy. I've never been more happy in my life to be wrong about something, because I thought Braun Breaker was going to win. And for all those people who want to be mad that Braun Breaker lost on his second title defense, listen, Braun Breaker's going to be fine. He needed to be speared multiple times, multiple splashes. One time he got speared through the goddamn barricade takes a nasty super kick. Like, he was fucking protected as hell at the end of this thing. So whether Jey Uso holds on to this title for a couple weeks, a couple months, I don't anticipate it to be very long, but Jey Uso earned this championship reign for all the work that he's done in the last, specifically in the last year, but in the last 4 really, because he was one of the key cogs in that whole bloodline thing, the breaking off point last year. Really, the only negative of his entire run as a singles competitor was that clunker. For whatever the reason, he just did not have chemistry with his own brother. And I will never understand that whatsoever. But outside of that, he has consistently been a key cog in Monday Night Raw. So nobody deserves this more than anybody, than Jey Uso. Nobody deserves this more. He's so fucking great. He's got the most over entrance in the building. He's got people chanting Yeet. He's printing merchandise. He's making money for this company. They had to belt him. They had to. And am I sad that Braun Breaker lost? Yes. Because Braun's the future of this company. But the sky's the limit for this guy. This guy's so young, and he's delivering main event bangers, and he was a part of one of the most iconic moments of maybe the last decade on Monday Night Raw. Like, this was such a beautiful, beautiful moment. Like, I'm going to remember this for a really long time. And this was an outstanding show with a lot of outstanding stuff, but it was made super outstanding because of how this show finished with Jey Uso holding up the Intercontinental title and almost 10,000 people in Ontario going fucking crazy. I felt all the energy from Ontario all the way down the highway here to Los Angeles, where I'm based out of. So credit to everybody. They wanted to see this. They got rewarded. And, credit to Triple H for pulling the trigger, because that, in some cases, that's not going to be a popular decision. But I think people need to calm down and understand that big things are coming for Braun Breaker. I probably went a little bit long on this show, but this was an outstanding show. Huge pyro for Jey Uso as he's celebrating out in the crowd, and that ends the night. Seriously, man, Raw's fucking cooked the last couple of weeks, man, and really the last few months. Just so many interesting storylines, interesting characters, people you want to root for, people you want to see get their ass beat. Like, this is the perfect type of show. And it's I'm not going to say it's the Attitude Era, but it's just these crowds, man, the energy that people are bringing to these events. They're selling out everything, merchandise, television ratings, gates for pay-per-views. Everything is on fire. And when you invest in a character, as long as they have in Jey Uso, and then you belt him in a big-time spot like that over a really dominant champion, even though he had only held it for about a month and a half in Braun Breaker, just chef's kiss, magnifique. Great stuff tonight from Triple H and WWE. So that's Off the Top Rope here on the Off the Mic Sports Network. We'll have a lot of great wrestling content and as well as sports content here on the channel. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button below. Perfect blend of sports and sports entertainment here on the Off the Mic Sports Network. I will talk to you guys real soon. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.